I also, I had some very embarrassing moments in my life too. But you all know the Nicholas brothers, right?
Yeah.
You've seen them jump, over each other, doing splits and aspects and all that. Well, there was a team that was called Berry Brothers, and they were just before the Nicholas brothers. As a matter of fact, I think the Nicholas brothers stole all this stuff from the Berry brothers. And I was working with them at the Cotton Club with the Cab Calloway and Bill Daniel Robinson and Alpha Waters. And in the show, Cab's band was like on a bandstand here, and they had like a little platform just up in back of the band where the showgirl, they would walk, they just walk and parade off their costumes, They didn't do any dancing because the platform was too narrow for that. But what the Berry brothers used to do, they would come out on the stage and they would come up on this platform, jump over the band onto the floor into splits, And it used to get such a tremendous hand, man, So I used to watch them and I said, wow, that's fantastic. So I was playing Whitey's Looking Out, I was playing Apollo Theater with Erskine Hawkins band at one time. Anybody ever heard of the Apollo Theater?
Yeah.
So I was working at the Apollo Theater with Erskine Hawkins band, and I got this great idea that I'm going to get the crowd all aroused before we even hit the stage, So I said, well, when they introduce our act, I'm going to run, because I didn't have a platform there, and I had to come from back to the stage. And it was just like this piano is there, and a piano stool like it is now, but it was kind of catacomb this way, facing out toward the band. So I said, well, if I run from backstage, bounce off that stool, over the piano, and over the band, well, I'm sure the crowd would say, yeah! So man, I didn't tell anybody that I was going to do it. So when they said, why is Lindy Hopkins, man? I flew on the stage, man. I hit the stool and I jumped over I was over the piano, but I didn't quite make it over the band. I landed among all the music stands and everything. Luckily, I didn't hurt myself or I didn't hit anybody. But all the music on the stand was all over the floor, man. And the band was so shocked because they didn't know. I mean, you can imagine a band up here supposed to be playing, and then something was crying. And they up there, whoa, everything was coming out the horn. So I did bad. I landed on the floor, and then even the audience was shocked at first. They was like, oh. And then afterwards, they started laughing. I was running around the stage picking up music, and the rest of the kids in the group, they didn't know I was going to do that. And they flew out on the stage and they said to me, what the hell was he doing? I'm running out. I said, keep dancing, keep dancing. I'm running out picking up music, putting it back up on the bandstand, man. And the band was laughing. Boy, they didn't play no music for us that day, boy. This was just a laughing show. But when it finished, the manager of the theater, Mr. Schiffman, he come back and he said, wow, that was terrific. You gonna do that again next year? I said, hell no. It was a wonderful life. I had an opportunity to meet all the, people in show business, like Elle Fitzgerald. She was a wonderful person. And she used to play at the Savoy Ballroom. I'll sing with Chick Webb at the Savoy Ballroom all the time. And I would talk to her. I'd say, hey sis, or we call each other sister and brother because they became very good friends. And I would say, hey sis, come on down and dance. And she'd come down, man, I would dance. But I had a very wonderful experience with her also at the Apollo Theater again. But this was with Chick Webb's band this time. And what happened was that our act, the White Lindy Hopkins was supposed to go on the stage. We were act just before Ella Fitzgerald because she was like the star, So anyway, we went out on the stage, and this was when Lindy Hopper was fairly new to the audience. So we started dancing, but we were tearing up the house, and we did second encore. We did 3 encores before we could get off the stage. And then we walked on off the stage, and they announced Ella Fitzgerald. And the people was applauding, and Ella walked out on the stage, and they was applauding. And we were so happy that we had, had a good hand. And we getting ready to go upstairs, and the stage manager said, Lindy Hopper, back on the stage, He said, but Ella's out there. He said, but they want you out there. So we walked back on the stage, we did another encore, man, and then we come off, and the next show, they had us to close the show after Ella Fitzgerald, because she couldn't follow us. So we closed the show. But she was wonderful about the whole thing. I mean, she was kind of happy about it. But that same thing also happened with Tony Bennett at a nightclub, Latin Casino in Philadelphia. But this was with my other group, the Congaroo Dancers. And I guess about 97, 98, I was in Stockholm. Chaz and I, we were in Stockholm. And we were staying at the Grand Hotel in Stockholm. And Tony Bennett was staying at the same place. And we were sitting in a restaurant eating, and Tony Bennett came in and walked, and he sat at another table. So I said, hey, Chaz, that's Tony Bennett. I'm going over to speak to him. So he said, okay. So I went over, because he's from Long Island too. So I spoke to him. I said, hey, hi, Tony. I said, my son and I were from New York. I live in Queens and all of that. And he said, oh yeah, how you doing? So I said, I worked with you once back in about 1951. At the Latin Casino in Philadelphia. So he said, oh yeah? I said, well, what did you do? I said, well, I was your opening act, we did the Lindy Hopper. So he said, well, yeah, you the act that wouldn't let us on the stage. So because in that same show, we went on before Tony Bennett, and we told to show up. So after the first show, Tony Bennett was opening the show for us. And this was back in this was in the 50s when that happened. So now this is in the 90s when I meet him again, and he still remembers. He said, oh yeah, you the act that wouldn't let me on the stage, yeah, man. So as I said, it really has been a wonderful life. And people always ask me, say, Frankie, who is your inspiration? And I have to tell them that you all are my inspiration. I mean, when I see you out there dancing, and you're looking all happy and you're having a good time, I feel wonderful about that. I come in here and I see like somebody, and I show them a step, and they say, Frankie, I can't quite get that, but at the end of the class, they're walking out happy, they're smiling, and I look at them happy and smiling, and I say, oh wow, that's great. So you are my inspiration. You make me young.